Let's use the epsilon delta definition of continuity to prove that x cubed is continuous on all real numbers. I'll leave a link in the description to my lesson introducing this definition of continuity if you need to review. As always, we begin our continuity proof by taking an arbitrary epsilon greater than 0. Since we're trying to show that x cubed is continuous on all reals, we'll also take an arbitrary real number c and show that x cubed is continuous at this arbitrary real number. As for delta, we're just going to go through the steps of the proof, and in doing so, we'll see what delta needs to equal to make everything work out. And then we'll be able to say that as long as the absolute value of x minus c is less than delta, and we'll have all of our steps which show that the distance between f of x and f of c is less than epsilon. Let's start going through the steps. First, of course, the absolute value of f of x minus f of c is the absolute value of x cubed minus c cubed. And we can pull an x minus c out of that difference of cubes. We just have to make sure that we leave those factors in absolute value bars. Thus, we get that this is equal to this. Now, we know the absolute value of x minus c is less than delta, so we'll replace this with delta to make the expression bigger. So this is less than this. Now, this absolute value of a sum will apply the triangle inequality repeatedly to split it up into the absolute value of x squared plus the absolute value of cx plus the absolute value of c squared. Of course, this is less than or equal to this, so this inequality is valid. Remember, we know that the absolute value of x minus c is strictly less than delta. And again, we're just leaving this as delta for now because we don't yet know what delta should be. Now, in these parentheses, we've got to worry about the x's. We don't want variables in here. We want some sort of fixed value that we can use to figure out what delta should be so that everything will cancel out nicely. So let's start going through some steps to get rid of these x's. The absolute value of cx will split up into the absolute value of c times the absolute value of x. Those products are equal. As for the absolute value of x squared, that's the same as the absolute value of x squared. And then inside the absolute value, we could minus c and plus c. That, of course, is just adding 0, so it's perfectly valid, but as you'll see, it will make the expression easier to work with. So that's how we go from here to here. We can just take the square outside of the absolute value, and then again, just minus c and plus c inside the absolute value. That's not changing it at all. But now we have a sum in this absolute value expression, so we can actually split it up across that sum, again using the triangle inequality. And with the absolute value of x over here, we'll do the same thing, subtracting c and adding c inside of the absolute value bars. Now, applying the triangle inequality to this lets us split it up into the absolute value of x minus c plus the absolute value of c. Again, we're splitting it up across that addition. We have to remember that this whole thing is still getting squared, and because we've applied the triangle inequality, we have that this is less than or equal to all of this. Now, by subtracting and adding c in that absolute value of x expression, we'll also be able to apply the triangle inequality to this to split it across the addition. And over here, where we have the absolute value of x minus c already, remember that is less than delta, and we can control delta. So we'll have to figure out some more details about delta, but for now, let's just insist that delta is no more than 1. So it's the minimum of 1 with some other expression that's yet to be determined. But to suffice to say, we know that the absolute value of x minus c is less than delta, and that must be less than or equal to 1. 1 is the typical choice here, but any positive constant would work. So we've now made the expression bigger by replacing the absolute value of x minus c with 1. So we have 1 plus the absolute value of c squared now. And then over here, we apply the triangle inequality to split this absolute value expression across that sum. So now it's the absolute value of x minus c plus the absolute value of c. And of course, we want to make sure that's in parentheses. It's still getting multiplied by the absolute value of c out there. Also, the absolute value of c squared is at the end. Notice that we rewrote this. We had the absolute value of c squared, but of course, we just took the squaring outside of the absolute value. Finally, we are nearing the end here. 1 plus the absolute value of c squared. If we do that out, we would get 1 plus 2 times the absolute value of c plus the absolute value of c squared. And then over here, we have the absolute value of x minus c, which again we know we can replace with 1, just like we did in this previous step. Replacing that with 1 is why we have this less than symbol. We've just made this expression bigger. And that's all we changed to get to this line. Now just a couple more steps. Combining like terms inside of these brackets gives us 3 times the absolute value of c squared, because we have this one, and this one that comes from the distribution. We have plus 3 times the absolute value of c because of these two, and this one that comes from the distribution. And we have plus 1. Now this is a fixed constant. So finally, we know the rest of our specifications for delta. Earlier, it was useful to be able to replace delta with 1. But now, what would it be useful to replace delta with, so that we can cancel this out and end up with epsilon? Well, of course, the answer is we would like to replace delta with epsilon divided by this constant in question. If we replace delta with this, then these two things will cancel out, and we'll just be left with epsilon. Hence, we must insist that delta is the minimum of 1 and this expression here. That way, this last step is valid, these things cancel out, and we get that the distance between f of x and f of c is less than epsilon as desired. We've just shown that x cubed is continuous at an arbitrary real number, hence x cubed is continuous on all real numbers. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to check out my real analysis course and real analysis exercises playlists in the description for more. If you find my videos helpful, please consider supporting what I do by joining Wrath of Math as a channel member. You can get early and exclusive access to additional videos and extra practice, and if you join at the premium tier or above, you can access the lecture notes used in my courses.